Welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm Roger Wood, your host, and our guest for this segment is somewhat of a regular on our show as well, Mark Hendrickson, who is the planning director for Merced County, but he also wears some other hats concerning the Castle Commerce Center. Did you notice I said Commerce Center instead of Air Base? Because some people out there get very upset when you say Castle Air Base, even though I've lived there all my life.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you've got some kind of interesting news to talk about.
Well, Roger, really, as always, really appreciate you affording the county with an opportunity to, if nothing else, share a few things. I'm real lucky that with me today is we've got a very, very good board, and with me today is Supervisor McDaniel, who has been just absolutely instrumental in helping guide us so as to the plan that's been the strategic plan that's been developed for Castle. About a week ago, we were giving a presentation to our board of supervisors related to really all the things, the progress that's being made over the last several months. We do this periodically as it relates to to Castle, and so we brought in our consultants, and we were able to really share with the board and with the public some of that progress. Really have to give a few really quick kudos. One of which clearly to Assembly Member Adam Gray, and we'll speak more about this I hope in depth here in a second. But the Assembly member was instrumental, along with Senator Cannella as well, as helping secure about $6.5 million for an auto tech testing environment at Castle. We've been very fortunate over the last several years with Waymo, which is Google, who operates a 91.5 acre footprint, and that's led us to other business opportunities, enough so that we've been told that if you build it, we will come. And so we're excited about that, and obviously with the help of the Assembly member and the Senator and other folks throughout the state of California, we're on a path there to see this go to construction over the next year or so, and bring some Fortune 500 companies to this area. And again, would not have been made possible if it weren't for the leadership in Sacramento, and then absolutely the leadership here with our board of supervisors.
Yeah, I have to agree, Mark. That's definitely an important thing. It's not me, it's we. It's not you, it's us. It was everything. But you have to compliment Mark Hendrickson on staying on task at all times about this. This is just an opportunity. I had the chance to ride ACE train over to the Bay Area on Friday of last week. I was on train number 7, which was the last train out, but train number 5 right in front of me was the one who hit the jogger. So I was actually stuck in the South Bay Marsh for 4 hours in a train, and it does not have a club car, so there was no food or drinks. So we were there, and no special privileges as being with the ACE folks or as an elected official. But it was great. Once I got over there and we got to meet with the folks in San Jose, they already know about Castle. They already know about Waymo and Google's presence at Castle. And these folks are trying to reach out to us because there's a lot of folks that live and work right there in San Jose in the Silicon Valley who can't afford to live there, and they're looking at how do we diverse ourselves and how do we make this affordable. And a lot of our kids who are graduating from college here are trying to get over there to work for those folks, where we're trying to make that available for them so they don't have to leave. They can stay here and work.
Roger, and I think the supervisor just spoke about a really important point, which is again connecting those dots between these industry icons, where their workforce may come from, and if we can again better connect some dots between the Silicon Valley and the San Joaquin Valley, which is something that the supervisor and his colleagues have really worked pretty hard on these past few years. That's going to be a positive thing. But if you take a look at Castle, Castle's about it's a pretty big piece of property. But what the board really wants us to do moving forward is to make Castle into a place where things are built, manufactured. We've been able to do a lot of work in that respect in terms of identifying which industries we're going to be most successful in being likely to attract. But while we're talking a little bit about driverless vehicles today and some of the testing that actually has commenced over the last few years, it's not just about driverless cars. It's about how do we leverage rail? How do we enhance our airport? What we're doing, it's a comprehensive look at trying to take Castle to the next level. And while I can certainly appreciate that there's frustration out there, I was stationed here. This is home for me. My dad was stationed out there. I was stationed out there at the same time with my dad. So I can very well remember what it was like. But the reality is this board is is tackling Castle in a far more strategic way than ever before. This isn't about filling space. This is about doing what we can do to bring meaningful jobs to this area, recognizing that it is not a government that creates jobs. It's the private sector that creates jobs. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create an environment for that to happen. And if we can do that by bringing big business, if we can do that by growing industry so as to make our airfield more useful, then that's a really good thing.
All right. Well, I was trying to imagine Castle a few years ago, and when you mentioned, well, we don't have a lot out there, it seems to me that there's a fair number of people renting space out there and a fair number of jobs out there. What's those numbers anymore?
Well, I'll let Mark talk on those numbers, but I want to touch on that. It's exactly what you just said. Folks are too focused on what's not happening out there instead of what's happening. We're here to tell you about the positive stuff going out there. There's a lot of misunderstanding when you see a lot of these dorms and some of these buildings that are up there with the asbestos, and they keep bringing up that we need to build houses. We need to let folks. Well, I'm here to tell you that per our BRAC agreement, the federal government will not let us allow people to live out there. It's not happening. And yet there's a certain individual that likes to continue to write a letter all the time to the Sunstar saying that we're misusing it, we're not doing it right, and that we don't know what we're doing. And he just sent me an email not too long ago, but he is completely off base and doesn't understand what we're working with out there. So let's look at the positive stuff right now. And I love to say we have more employees working out at Castle right now than we did when AT&T was there.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's the supervisor again raised a number of really good points, and again, I think we can all appreciate that, and what we all have in common, whether it's a letter writer, or whether it's us, or whether it's here in the studio, we all want that site to be successful. We all want people working. That's where I think we can all come together. But to address your question, Roger, we've got in excess now of about 75 tenants. We generate more revenue today than ever before in Castle's post-closure history. One, if you want to take a look at just one benchmark, and I think this is an important point for this board and something that I'm proud of personally. Just a few short years ago, Castle was essentially subsidized from the county's general fund. For the last 5 or 6 years now, we have not taken a single penny of general fund subsidy, meaning that every expense generated at Castle is offset by revenue generated from Castle. That's in the very definition of running a business. So, we're excited about that, but we've got more work to do.
I just have to chime in there too as well. Supervisor O'Banion is very pleased with that, and anytime that Mark mentions that, he'll look at me, give me a nudge, or give me an elbow, saying it's about time that Castle's paying for itself.
But Roger, everything from Waymo to overhead crane manufacturers on site to the University of California, Merced, and many others in between. I think the supervisor raised a really good point. There's a lot of good stuff happening, but yet, to be honest, this board is not complacent. Its staff, as a consequence, is not going to be complacent. We want to get this thing done, and this is also something that's going to be done over a long period of time. It's really predicated upon figuring out creative ways to work with the private sector to make things happen. And that's something that's not been done in this community prior. And I think that I can tell you, speak just as one individual, the work that our 5 board members are doing, and in particular, the Supervisor McDaniel, Supervisor Pereira, they're the go-to guys as it relates to Castle. We are clearly trending in the right direction.
Good. If people want to get more information about what's going on out there?
So actually, there's a couple different things. You can always give us a call, and our office number is 209-385-7686. I'd be happy to talk to anybody at any time about anything going on in Castle. Other things I would also lead folks to is we've got pretty good websites that have to say that your very own Mr. Steed was a big part of helping us fine tune, and I would really lead folks to www.investmerced.com.
www.investmerced.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mark Henriksen and Supervisor Darren McDaniel.
Thank you, Roger.